Hi, it's me again, Russell Slack, the founder of Guided Seasons. Have you ever just looked at your financial life and felt stuck? Not irresponsible, not careless, just overwhelmed with all the things that you need to do. Your investing strategy, what age should I retire, the retirement spending strategy, social security pensions, long-term care planning, my estate. Maybe I need to bleed the taxes out of my portfolio. It can feel like too much to handle. And here's what I've learned after decades of sitting across the table from retirees. Planning doesn't stall because you don't care. It stalls because it's too much and you don't understand it all. The motivation just isn't strong enough to push through the complexities until something painful in my life happens. So today I want to talk about that. Not the technical side of planning, but the psychology of why smart people stall. I've often talked about how the Idaho Teton Dam broke in 1976. 11 people died and 35,000 residents and farmers had to evacuate. The cracks in that dam caused a massive failure that wiped out homes and lives and generations of progress. Similarly, we are building a reservoir of wealth. For 30 years, you've been filling that reservoir. Every paycheck, every 401k contribution, every deposit into your Roth, every sacrifice. You've built something. You studied, you sacrificed, you prepared one step at a time. Filling it was the easy part. But now I'm stuck with, how do I maximize it? How do I create income? How do I protect it so that it lasts my whole life? I want to leave a legacy to my kids, and all of that can feel overwhelming. But if we fail to act, our dam cracks. Slowly, quietly, and structurally. And most of the cracks come from things that we delay. So number one, long-term care planning. Let me tell you why this one stalls. I recently walked through a long-term care planning strategy with a couple, and they were healthy, active, independent. The conversation sounded all too familiar. Our kids are going to step in and help. We've never had a major health problem. We may never use it. And all those normal reactions were there. Statistically, though, 71% of us are going to need some form of long-term care or critical illness support. Now, here's where it gets real. I've seen where this isn't addressed. I had a client who fell off a ladder and ended up with a traumatic brain injury. The health insurance covered the surgeries, but the change in home care quietly eroded the savings. In 5 years, nearly $600,000 was gone as they tried to make him comfortable. The dam didn't explode, it just cracked. In my life, my aunt, a nurse earning well over $100,000 a year, quit her job to care for her father, my grandfather. Nearly $700,000 lost in lifetime earnings. That's not just medical. That's generational wealth reversing direction. Almost every week, I get phone calls from someone who's already in the middle of a healthcare crisis. They aren't asking about prevention. They're asking about, what do I do now? How do I leverage assets now that I have an issue? A stroke, a sudden cancer diagnosis, early onset dementia, accelerated quickly, and maybe I had a fall that changed everything. And often the first thing that they say is, we didn't think this would happen to us. But here's the hardest part. Then it's often too late. The underwriting window is closed, the leveraging options are gone, the dam is cracked. And now they're not reinforcing the structure, they're triaging the damage as the water expels from the dam. Crack number two. Tax planning is an invisible fracture that we often ignore. And it's less emotional, but it's just as costly. When we start talking about Roth conversions, tax-wise asset allocations, charitable giving strategies, required minimum distribution planning, inheriting pre-tax accounts with our children. So why do people stall here? Taxes may be years away. We're in a decent tax bracket now. Let's just let it grow. All of those things are said. But what happens when you spend 10 years in a relatively low tax bracket and you didn't do anything about it? This tax bomb in your account just kept growing. The IRA grows, and at 73, RMDs begin. Income spikes. Social Security becomes more taxable. Your health insurance premiums might increase because you hit your IRMA limits. Maybe a spouse passes away, leaving the surviving spouse to be pushed into a single tax bracket. Or maybe your kids inherit a large tax of pre-tax dollars that they have to spend in 10 years or be fined. All of that delay can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime. Not because of market losses, and not because of tax drift. It's structural, it's slow, it's quiet, and it could have been prevented over time. But by the time that you fill this crack in the dam, it's too late to undo it. Crack number 3, estate planning. Estate planning stalls for entirely different reasons. It's uncomfortable to talk about the end of life planning. It's we'll get it updated later. The kids get along fine, or everything's pretty simple, or I don't want to cause a rift. But until there's a medical crisis, or until someone loses capacity, or the siblings disagree, until the paperwork doesn't reflect reality, the fastest way to crack that financial dam is to combine stress with money and unclear instructions. Estate planning isn't just about death. It's about protecting the relationships as well as the estate. When that is ignored, the crack isn't just about money, it destroys families. I had a friend whose dad got remarried. He had a cabin up in a popular reservoir area in Idaho. The family owned it for 3 generations. And the dad just completed buying out the other family so that it solely existed for his kids to own as a generational asset. It was to be their legacy. We tried to get him to do the estate planning, but he just didn't want to cause a rift between him and his new wife. The planning never got done, and during COVID, he passed away. The spouse got 100% of the cabin and all of his assets. She sold off everything, the cabin included, and left out all of their kids with 0 inheritance. The rightful heirs, his own children, they got nothing. So why do our minds stall? It's not because we're foolish. It's because there's no urgency. There's no immediate pain, or the numbers are just too complex, or the scenario is uncomfortable enough just to prevent us from wanting to do it. But planning is purposefully proactive. It's not supposed to be reactive. It's about preventing the dam from cracking. You have spent 30 years filling this reservoir. Don't let inaction weaken what you've built. Planning doesn't require us to solve everything all at once. It's a little time consuming up front to do all the planning and identifying what needs to be reinforced. But we can spend years reinforcing one section at a time, completing our plan. You have a financial guide whose job it is to ensure each step is completed. Start somewhere and start now. It was the author Jared Kintz who wrote, "Days turn into weeks, which turn into months, which turn into years, which turn into decades, which turns into cemeteries." Planning failures often become regrettable when they are irreversible. Well, I hope this was enlightening, and I hope it helps you reevaluate a little bit about where you are in your own planning. So until next time, be well.